things have changed a lot in a very short period of time for our province. I can remember giving speeches at this very annual event not too many years ago, wherein I would proffer the notion that Saskatchewan should be aspiring to lead the country economically, that with our resources and our people we really could lead the country. When I was leader of the opposition, I would quote a Victorian author named George Eliot who said, "It's never too late to become what you might have been." To me, that meant that despite all those terrible headlines, that it wasn't too late for Saskatchewan to be able to lead the country, to take its rightful place within Confederation. But you know, as I said those remarks and those speeches, I can remember looking in the eyes of people in the front row and seeing a little bit of doubt, I think. I can remember seeing in the eyes of those who were listening to those kinds of comments the sentiment that maybe they didn't believe what I was saying. Frankly, I'm sure there was a part of me that wasn't sure whether we should believe it either. I think we all knew that we could be doing much, much better. But lead the country? Really? Really lead British Columbia? Lead Alberta? Lead Ontario? Really? Yes, really. That is exactly what is happening today. Most of the chartered banks said we have led for most of the last number of quarters, and we're going to lead through next year in economic growth. We are the asterisk to all of the reports with respect to the economy that are pretty sobering and frankly pretty negative. We are described by think tanks and economists as Canada's unassuming champion. We are leading today. Now there are some important points to make here at this juncture. Number one, we are not immune to the global recession. We have seen some impact already, and we're going to see some more impact. 2009 is a challenge for us compared obviously to 2008. That is why your government, the Saskatchewan government, administered our economic booster shot earlier this year with historic and rapid infrastructure investment, including, Mayor Atch, including no strings attached immediate per capita dollars to our municipal partners for shovel-ready projects so we could provide a stimulus to the economy. It's why we focused on the fundamentals that serve economies well in any era, recession or recovery, and those fundamentals are balanced budgets, surpluses, debt reduction, the lowest taxes you could possibly afford to levy, and that infrastructure investment that we know we need for our economy for the future. It's why and because we're not immune to what's going on around the world, it's also why we're working very hard to promote Saskatchewan, to tell our story, so the rest of the world understands that this is a great place to invest and a great place to live, and this is comparatively a very strong economy at a very difficult time, and it will only be stronger in the future. Point number two is this. The government of Saskatchewan, and specifically myself tonight, but on behalf of the government of Saskatchewan, we are not taking credit for what continues to happen in our province. We know we have been blessed by resources and by people that would be the envy of nations, never mind provinces. We know we have a lot of good fortune going for us. I understand that, and our government understands that, but I do believe that governments can help if they get the fundamentals right, if they are committed to a growth agenda that seeks to constantly reduce barriers to growth and investment, if their policies are informed by a vision for Saskatchewan's future that is worthy of Saskatchewan's potential, and if they are willing to give voice to aspirations that might seem a little bit incredulous, a little bit out there about what the future might hold in store for our Saskatchewan. There are a lot of ways to measure the change that has taken hold in our province over the past couple of years. I've gone through some of them. But it is deeper than headlines, it's deeper than statistics, it's deeper than reports in the financial pages, because, ladies and gentlemen, you know this maybe better than the politicians in this province. There is a new attitude in Saskatchewan. There is a new optimism in Saskatchewan. There's a new confidence. I see it in people all over this province. I'm sure you do too. You hear it in their voices. You see it in their eyes. I recently heard about a woman who had lived in Saskatchewan all of her life. She loves this province. She never wanted to leave, never did. But she said there was one thing that had always bugged her. She said, quote, "All my life, people from other provinces and even friends who have moved away kept asking me, why are you still living in Saskatchewan?" She said this, "The best thing about the new Saskatchewan is that nobody asks me that anymore." Friends, if you've heard me speak before, you know that I have said consistently that our party, and if elected, our government, would not seek growth for the sake of growth, for the sake of statistics and those pie charts, that we seek growth to begin the virtuous circle in this province of lower taxes and a higher quality of life that attracts more taxpayers and funds a better quality of life, and the circle continues. So I think it's fair for all of you to ask of this government, what have you done with the growth that we have seen? Well, how about the largest in-year income tax cut in the history of the province of Saskatchewan? 80,000 low-income Saskatchewan people off of the tax rolls because that income tax cut. How about the largest education portion of property tax decrease in the history of the province? How about the largest infrastructure investment, 2008, 2009, and going forward in the history of the province? Mayor Atch, how about a new revenue sharing deal for cities that have been, and all municipalities, that has been long awaited? Growth has paid for a new deal for nurses that's paying off with more nurses and shorter waiting times, though there's more work to be done there. Growth has paid for training seats for nurses and for doctors. Growth in this province is today paying for new long-term care facilities in rural Saskatchewan, health care facilities in rural Saskatchewan that have been long neglected. Health is paying for the most aggressive youth retention and recruitment plan in the country. Growth is paying for the first significant increase to the seniors' income assistance program in 16 years, and the doubling of the number of seniors who are eligible for that assistance. Growth is paying for historic increases to families that depend on low-income supplement programs from social services, mostly single-parent families. Today in the province of Saskatchewan, growth is paying for the largest ever increase to our community-based organizations so they can begin to be more competitive with respect to retaining their frontline staff who do the heavy lifting every single day in this province on poverty and on addictions, on literacy, on a long list of challenges that we are so grateful they're prepared to address. Growth is paying for unprecedented automatic increases to rental allowances in an unprecedented way, adjusted to the inflation by region, by district of the province of Saskatchewan. Growth is paying for significant increases in training allowance programs that allows social assistance recipients to get into the workforce. That single mom who wants to provide for her family, that would like to take the training but needs some support from the government in order to get there, those increases have been paid for by the growth that we have been experiencing in Saskatchewan. Growth is paid for 1,000 new child care spaces in 17 months.